Have you ever tried to get by on too tight of a budget? Maybe you underestimate how much a trip will cost. So then you come up short with money for the hydro bill when you get home. Then you have to borrow some money from your grocery allotment. Then you run out of food. It's like dominoes falling, and soon your whole budget falls apart. Well, the same thing can happen with our time. Sometimes we try to pack just too many things into our day. And we're too optimistic about how long each will take. So when one task or project takes longer than we expected, the rest of our day falls apart like a stack of dominoes. We get stressed, we can't concentrate, we end up working late, we're tired the next day, and if that keeps happening over and over again, we get sick because we're so tired. And so on and so on. All because we didn't leave enough margin in our day. So let's see how we can keep from landing in that scenario. We're going to look at 5 tips to help you leave enough margin in your day. The first tip is to set specific working hours. And so I realize you may already have that set if you work for somebody else. So in this tip, we're specifically talking to people who have some control over their own time. Maybe they're entrepreneurs or they work from home. I still suggest that you set specific working hours. Here's what happens. When you set limits on your time, it's going to help you focus more. Why? Because you know you have to finish at a certain time. You've already decided that. So it forces you to really concentrate, and it helps you to get more out of your time. It makes you more efficient, more productive. The other thing that this does is it protects your personal time. So time for rest, time for family, time for fun and hobbies. Having specific working hours is going to protect that personal time. Now, generally in our society today, 8 hours is a reasonable work day. And I know there may be exceptions when there's a big deadline or an unexpected issue comes up. So we're not going to say that you can never work more than 8 hours and be healthy. Sometimes you'll have to. But if you try to keep to the reasonable limits that you've set most of the time, then I think you're going to have the energy you need to continue and to be productive. So a typical workday in an office would be morning and afternoon. But you don't have to do that. You can customize it to your lifestyle. Maybe it works better for you to have family time in the mornings and to work in the afternoon and evenings. Maybe someone else in your family works the night shift. So you just need to customize your working hours to your lifestyle. The point is to try to set a specific time so that when you are at work, even if you're working at home, then your mind is on work, you're totally focused. And when you're done your working hours, you don't think about it anymore. You can enjoy the rest of your life. The second tip is to build in breaks and meals. Now, we don't get a gold star for being a workaholic. We have to stop and we need to take breaks. We need to eat and we need to get up and move around. Especially if you have a desk job, it's really important that you don't just sit there all day. It's going to cause you to get sore and stiff, and it's just not healthy. So you need some time to get up and walk around. You could take a short break just to clear your head, and it will help you go back to your work with renewed focus. And for meal times, you don't want to just skip meals because it's going to backfire. What happens is your blood sugar just keeps dropping. You get to a point where you can't concentrate. You have so much brain fog that the work you're doing is actually taking twice as long as it should be. So it's not very efficient. Now, you don't necessarily have to take your breaks or your meal breaks at a certain time. You might want to just follow the rhythm of your work. So when you finish a large task or an important step on a project, that would be a logical time to take a little break before you start in on the next thing. It gives you a chance to kind of clear your brain and let go of that one thing so that you can start focusing on the next. And then another point when we're talking about breaks and meals, you probably should not make a habit of eating at your desk because it's kind of mixing your personal time with your work time, and it's hard to really digest your meal properly when you're still thinking about work. So when you take a break, really take a break. Leave your work and just have a change of scenery. Enjoy your meal. And then when you come back to work afterwards, you'll have a fresh perspective. The third tip for having enough margin in your day is to overestimate how long you think tasks and projects will take. Now, we tend to be very optimistic in this area when we're planning our day. We say, oh, I can get this done in an hour and this done in a half hour. But we need to be a little more realistic. Now, if you've done the task before, it's going to be a lot easier to estimate the time. But even in those cases, there are often unexpected issues. Your computer might freeze, or you can't find that file you're looking for, or you forget exactly how to do a certain operation in some software. Maybe you need information from somebody else and it hasn't arrived yet, and you're trying to chase it down. So there are always unexpected things. It might be safe to add 25 to 50% to the time you expect something to take. And so if it's something you've done before, 25% would probably be enough. If it's a new task and you're just kind of guessing about how long it will take, I would say add in an extra 50% because often things take a lot longer than we thought they would. And if it doesn't take that long, you can just move on to the next task that you planned for the day. And if that happens all day, I don't know if you've ever had a day like that where everything just went smoothly. It's kind of our dream day, isn't it? But if that happens, no worries. You could just do one of tomorrow's tasks ahead of time, or you could stop work early. So there's nothing to lose here. If you overestimate how long your task and your projects will take, then it's just going to help your day to run more smoothly. It's going to help you get ahead in the long run. The fourth tip to have enough margin in your day is to reserve a time slot for what I like to call administrivia. So administration, but trivial little things. So every role that you play in life or work has some kind of busy tasks attached to it. They might be just little things, emails or phone calls or reports, maybe finding information, doing research online, accounting that goes with that role, answering people's questions, maybe gathering materials for a project or presentation, maybe promotion. There's all these little things, and when you think about calls and emails, you might think, well, that's only a minute or two, but it can really add up. And it's not just the actual time it takes to do it. It's the fact that it's taking your focus. And so every time we change from one task to another, there's some time lost there as our brain kind of gets familiar with the next task and kind of adjusts. And so these administrivia tasks, as we call them, it's better if you can kind of keep a time slot and do a whole bunch of them all at once so that they don't cause you to lose focus on your big projects by going back and forth with little things all the way through it. The fifth way to build margin in your day is to build in a time slot to check your emails and your text messages at certain times. Now, I'm not a social media addict. I go on occasionally, but I'll confess that I might be an email addict. It is very tempting to check my email every few minutes, but I know it is not very efficient. So what I try to do, and when I'm working in my office, is I'll shrink my email program when I'm working on a project so that it won't be distracting to me. And even better, if I just can close it out completely, then I'm not tempted to just always take a peek at my email when I'm supposed to be concentrating on something else. So you could maybe decide, I'm going to check my email at the beginning of the day when I start work, at noon, and at the end of the day. Now, the only problem with that is if you check it at the beginning of work, you might run into a problem because you've carefully planned your day, and one email from someone can just totally make it go off the rails. Because all of a sudden, somebody else has an emergency, and they need something from you, and what you plan to do today is out the window because you think you've got to do something for them. But really, why should someone else get to decide what you do today? If you're responsible for planning your own time, then you decide what you're going to do today. So it's important to set reasonable expectations. And one possibility is that in your email signature, you could say something like, I respond to emails within 24 hours. And then nobody's expecting an instant response from you on something. That way, you could maybe take the morning to work on the important things that you had planned out and not check your email till after that. And that way you won't get too distracted. So we've looked at 5 tips for leaving enough margin in your day. The first was to set specific working hours, if those are not already built in for you. The second was to build in breaks and meals. The third tip was to overestimate how long tasks and projects will take. Fourth, reserve a time slot for administrivia. And 5, build in a time slot to check your emails and your text messages at a certain time. So here's a question for you. Do you feel like you have enough margin in your day? Feel free to comment below. Do you feel like you have enough margin in your day? Be sure to get your free task triage worksheet by clicking the link below in the comments. And stay tuned for more videos in this series, Time Budgeting 101, where we're focusing on how to budget the time in our day.